Hey friend, welcome to the Halfway to Dead podcast. I'm your host, Jen Lovell. Listen, you and I have reached that age where we are done with the bullshit. We know that midlife is our chance to flip the script and experience life on our own terms. It's time to reconnect with our higher selves and reclaim our inner peace. Are you ready with an open heart and an open mind? Awesome, you're in the right place. Hop in and ride shotgun with me on this midlife spiritual journey. Hey guys, the Halfway to Dead podcast is back with season 2. Did you guys think I ditched you? Did you think I pulled an Irish goodbye? Never. Listen, I always tell you guys that we're in this midlife spiritual journey together. And as my friend riding shotgun with me, I need to update you on what's been going on. First off, I hope you guys survived the most time of year. You heard that right. I didn't say the most wonderful time of year, just the most. You know what I mean. I actually do hope it was the most wonderful time of year for you. But if it wasn't, you're not alone. Okay? I've talked to lots of people, including myself, who are under the opinion that it's the most stressful time of year. Okay. Yeah. I had a great holiday season, you guys. But was it the most wonderful time of year for me? No, it was not. And if it wasn't for you, that's okay. Don't even worry about it. We're on to 2026 now. On that note, I also want you guys to remember that you do not have to do all the things right now. Okay. I know we're all hustling, bustling. I'm going to lose weight. I'm going to read 25 books. I don't know, whatever your little resolutions were, you're wanting to hit it hard. And I just want to say, don't forget, no, this is a time for reflection, kind of a hibernation mode, and figuring out what you want next in life. What's next on your spiritual journey path right now. So it's okay to still just chill out and let the world get a little crazy out there. They'll calm down. And then we're going to jump in this spring and go hardcore, right? Right now, we're just going to reflect. We're going to go inward. We're going to take a beat right now here in the winter, and we're going to chill, and we're going to figure out what's next. So let me just answer one question you might have right now. Where has Jen been, and what has she been doing for the last, 2 or 3 months? Well, listen, I decided to take a little break. Honestly, I went into hibernation mode. Things were feeling very heavy and unaligned for me. This wasn't planned. I had zero intention of tucking away for this long. But listen, when your intuition is leading you a certain direction, we've talked about this, you honor it. And that's what I did. So I took a trip to Egypt in September, and it kind of affected me in ways I hadn't anticipated. And that started the trigger of this hibernation. Okay, that wasn't the only reason, because at the same time, I had some things going on in my personal life. Things kind of hit the fan, if you know what I mean. We all have our shit. I'm no exception. So if you're out there thinking, Jen has it all together, she's figured it out. Nope, she hasn't. I'm right there with you guys still. Let me make that clear. So had some of that stuff going on. I also realized that my own spiritual journey had started to take a backseat to the podcast. So I jumped back into my own journey. Okay, I realigned. I started making sure that I was staying on my own damn path. You know how we've talked about staying on our own path, not veering into others, not letting others veer into ours. All right, well, I had to realign myself a bit. And so that meant doing more of the effing work we always talk about. And listen, I'm excited for where my journey is heading now. If you're an avid listener, you might have an idea of what some of those things I've hinted about in season 1 are, but I'm doing some new things and I'm going to start presenting them to you guys. No worries. You're in this with me. I'm going to share all the things. I also, I'm a CASA. I volunteer for underprivileged foster kids and that are kind of stuck in the system. There's been no lack of drama there, as you might imagine. And you know me, I'm all in as an advocate for these kids. So, yep, I've still been keeping up on that. Don't even worry about it. But the main thing I've been doing is a lot of what I have called unapologetic laziness. A lot of that going on over here at Jen's house. And so, listen, this isn't an I'm sorry moment. I'm just keeping my friends, you, in the loop because, remember, we don't need to apologize. We're doing what we need to do, not just to survive, but to heal, to grow, to prosper, finish this life strong, that kind of thing. That looks different for everyone. But for me, it was a lot of alone time to recharge. A lot of alone time, guys. New spiritual practices. I've started some really cool new things. I got back to reading books, not just because they were coming on the podcast, but because they lit my soul up and I wanted to read them. I started listening to other people's podcasts a little bit more. You know what else it consisted of? I'm going to be honest. It consisted of some shitty food choices, some showerless days, and a lot of unanswered texts and phone calls. Okay? Yeah, I was a little bit assholey. I took care of business that needed done, but in general, I was a little recluse. I'm not going to lie. I kind of just took a lot of time to myself. And yeah, it might have been a little assholey to a few people. Guess what? I'm still not apologizing. I'm not, because that's what I needed, so that's what I did. That being said, Jen's back. I'm back at it, and I'm very pumped up about the exciting things coming this year in season 2. I've got really cool guests lining up to come on the show for you guys. I'm going to be guesting on some other people's podcasts. Stay tuned for that. Get excited. I've got some other collabs going on too. So you're going to see me a little bit more on social media. I'm not really sure how I feel about it yet, but I'm going to give it a shot, guys. So make sure you're following there. There's other really cool things. One in particular that I'm not ready to share yet, but when it's ready, it's a brewing. When it's ready, you guys will be the first to know. You guys are my ride or die in this midlife spiritual journey. So I have things to catch you up on. And the first thing I want to catch you up on is Egypt. All right. I just mentioned that what triggered this whole hibernation mode was my return from Egypt. So I'm ready to start talking about it. I'm still integrating. And if you're like, what the hell, she keeps saying she's integrating stuff. What does integrating mean? Okay. For me, integrating means figuring shit out, right? You hear people say they got downloads. And I've always been like, okay, downloads. Information from spirit, I'm going to call that. I got some of that in Egypt, right? And I don't even know. Listen, I'm still figuring shit out. So I will bring that to you as I figure things out. And I have guests going to help me figure it out and help explain some of these things to you guys better than I can. But I do want to start sharing some amazing things about Egypt with you guys. Okay, so first off, why Egypt? Why Egypt? I felt this crazy pull towards Egypt for a long time. Whether that's been from when I've had past life regressions or just my overall interest in like, who built those damn pyramids? What are they for? All the different gods and goddesses, the temples. I don't know. I just am very interested in all of that. So an opportunity came up and I was actually sitting here and you get one of my guests who's been on the show, Nicole Bigley, right? From A Psychic Story. She was one of the facilitators for this journey. There ended up being 16 women going. Did I know any of them? Zero. Even Nicole, I had not met in person, right? I knew we had a connection. Like we would text each other. I knew her before the podcast even. Anyway, I text her out of nowhere because I just was like, I need to check in with Nicole. I text her. I'm like, hey girl, what's going on? Blah, blah, blah. And she says, well, actually, I'm helping facilitate this pilgrimage to Egypt. And I was like, say more, Nicole. So she sends me the information. I mull it over. I meditate on it. And I'm like, I'm in. Why the hell not? And listen, I got some resistance from some people because is the Middle East perfectly safe? Maybe not. But guess what? I'm not going to lead my life fear-based. I felt a calling to go. Jen's going. Egypt. So we did a little prep. We all met each other on Zoom, whatever. You can't really get to know people on Zoom. That's my opinion. Really well. Because I'm more of an in-person type of person. Anyway, so off I go to Egypt. I'm going to tell you some stuff about my trip. Now, I'm saving back some of my big stories because, like I said, I have some guests that are going to come on that are going to help me dive deeper into some of these things. So stay tuned for that. But I want to just share the overall vibe and some of my favorite things about the trip. All right. So I'm just going to kick it off with my absolute favorite thing about the trip were the women on the trip with me. Okay. So I was a little bit nervous, as one might be, to be with a group of women you've never met. Because, let's just be honest, groups of women can get catty, cliquey. You start having flashbacks to like high school and you're like, I can't go there again. Anyway, so I was a little bit nervous. This was not the case, you guys. We all met, starting from the airport when I met these women, right? Because I had like an 8-hour freaking layover and we all got to know each other real well in that crappy little airport lounge, okay? So the bonding started like right away there. Then we get there. And my favorite part of the whole trip, honestly, was the bus rides. We spent a lot of time on the buses, you guys. And that sounds ridiculous because who likes to just ride buses all day long? Well, it wasn't really the bus I loved, it was the people in it. And we made a conscious effort to sit by somebody new every time we got back on the bus. This was not like we didn't speak this out loud. It just organically happened. And I don't mean just each day. I mean, in between the different temples, the different sites we went to, we would sit down by someone new. So this opened it up to really get to know people on a one-on-one basis. And we were all very different. We were from different parts of the world, different backgrounds, different ethnicities, all the things. We were very different on the surface, but we all shared a common spirituality thing. You know what I mean? You guys were all kind of spiritual with me too, or you wouldn't be listening. And it was really cool to be able to have conversations on the fly about whatever, right? Human design, astrology, like whatever, you name it. It was not taboo to be brought up. We loved it. We loved all the conversation. So we had this foundation together on this bus. And believe me, I'm going to tell you about some of the sites we went to. They're amazing, of course. But the bonding between these women was really cool. And so when we first got there, our little facilitated stuff, we had already gotten the habit, she called us sisters, right? Like my sister's sister. And at first I'm going to be honest, I was like, it's kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like it made me a little bit uncomfortable. I don't know. It felt cheesy. It felt weird. But I'm all in now. These are my sisters now, and I get it. And another thing I get are reality shows. So I was one of those people who watch reality shows. And it's like day 4, and somebody gets kicked out of the house, booted off the island, whatever. And you're like, why is she crying? She knew her for like 4 days, for like a minute, basically. Like, wipe your tears away, Jessica. It's fine. You'll see her again when the show wraps. Anyway. But now I get it, because when you're with people 24/7 and you're doing very intense things together and having big moments together, the friendship relationship grows very quickly and very strong. I feel very strongly about all these women. So we were sisters, okay? And what kind of things do we do on this bus? I'll just run it by real quick. I'm not going to share their names and correlate it exactly with the stories because they're not my stories to share. Some of them may agree to come on and tell their story, and that's cool, but that's not for me to do. You guys know I'm not really down with that. So one of the women could read palms. She just doesn't do it for like business, money, all of that. She runs a cool little spiritual group in her town. She read my palm. I learned so much. Like your right hand is different from your left hand, blah, blah, blah. Everything she read on my hand was spot on. It was amazing, right? We bonded over other stuff too, but that was one of the really cool things I experienced with her. We had one of the women during a longer trip one day. She stood up. She guided us all through a past life regression, like on the bus. And she got us how we could do it ourselves later too. I sat down with one woman who... I'm a sucker for a really cool scar, you guys. I don't know if you know this about me, but I love scars. I think every scar has a story and is unique, and I just love when people have a cool scar. So she had this cool scar on her arm. And let me just say this particular one was gorgeous. Like, she has a big following online because she's fashionista and gorgeous. So I was a little intimidated, but whatever. So I say, I don't know. I'm awkward sometimes. Whatever. But I'm like, can I just say I love this scar? It was on her arm. I said, I love it so much. And if you ever feel comfortable enough to share the story behind it with me, you don't know how much I would love that. So she's like, oh, that's actually a new scar. She goes on to tell, and again, I'm not going to tell you her whole story, but she goes on to tell me this amazing story behind this scar. It was a surgical scar. And she healed from something that people just don't heal from. All right. Something pretty serious. Anyway, and the story of how she healed and everything that went down was inspiring and amazing. So I hope she'll come on and talk about it. But we bonded over that. It was really cool, right? I'll tell you more about some of the bonding we did at the different sites, but in this bus, and it wasn't just all spiritually stuff. I mean, I sat next to a woman who shared a lot of the same childhood traumas that I had, and we talked about it so deeply and so genuinely. I think it was healing for both of us. I can only speak for myself. It was very healing to sit and talk with someone who had been through many of the same things I'd been through. And the bond was just there immediately. These aren't conversations you have in a brand new friendship, but in this environment, you do. Okay? So we had that going on. Also, we had a lot of fun, you guys. For the record, There was music. There was laughter. There were shitty snacks we bought at the gas station. I don't know if you guys know what a little boo-boo is, but they're those little stuffed animals that have the weird monster face. Anyway, she had one with her. One of the girls had one with her everywhere she went. And so we would do like little weird Labubu ceremonies. We'd sit in a circle in the front of a pyramid and like do a little just fun things, right? You can be silly and spiritual at the same time. That's my take on it. We were doing group meditations on there. I was breaking out my pendulum. Like we were doing all kinds of really cool things in that damn bus. And also we just held space for each other when we needed it. Okay. And even off of the bus, we had cool experiences. Sometimes we were chilling by the pool at the hotel and we had someone do a spiritual activation on all of us and teach us things. And everyone just shared their knowledge and the things that they did. My favorite thing about the trip to Egypt had nothing to do with Egypt. It had to do with the group of women I went with. Okay, so shout out to all my little Egypt sisters. So let's get into some of the places we went and the experiences that we all had when we were there. I'll just start with the one you guys are popping into your head, I know right now. The Great Pyramid of Giza. So I'm not a morning person, but we had to get our butts up and down in the lobby at 2 a.m. so that we could get on the bus, drive to Giza in the middle of the night. Because our group of women, we were able to go into the Great Pyramid of Giza alone, just our group, no other tourists were on site. We got to spend a couple of hours between the Queen's Chamber and the King's Chamber. So imagine crawling up into this pyramid, sitting in a circle, in the King's Chamber, in the Queen's Chamber, meditating, having a moment, all of these things. I want to tell you my favorite moments. We were in the King's Chamber. We were all in a circle. We're all kind of meditating, doing our thing. They turned the lights off for us. So it is now pitch dark. And one of the women in our group, she was the youngest one in our group, shout out Zoe. She's like 23. She is a singer-songwriter from LA. She's amazing. I didn't know where. None of us knew this was going down that I know of. She stands up and she starts singing Rise Up by Andra Day. I don't know if you know that song. If you don't, listen to it. You're going to love it. Very inspirational. She starts singing it in the King's Chamber. And something about her voice, the vibration of being in a pyramid, the pyramid, and that song and the way it echoed, the acoustics in that chamber. You guys, I'm getting chills thinking about it now. It was the most amazing, amazing thing ever. And for the record, if you're wondering, I now know for sure in my mind that the Great Pyramid was not a tomb. It was not a burial place. No way, Jose. Because when you're inside of it, I was at a lot of temples. I was at a lot of places that were definitely built by pharaohs, for pharaohs, for kings, queens, gods, goddesses. They're ornate. They've got beautiful hieroglyphics, carvings. They're painted in these amazing colors, the cyan blue. Okay, all very amazing. The architecture, beautiful. There is no high up king, pharaoh, anyone getting buried in these chambers. This room is like a concrete brick wall room, right? Nothing special about it. There is no way anyone want to be buried up in these little chambers. And also they're coming up with all these scans of what's below the pyramids and the Sphinx and all that. My opinion is that they were an energy source. Who built them? Not a bunch of humans, I'll tell you that, because it's like pure geometric perfection. I can't even explain. Nobody really can how this was built. But I'm going to go out on a limb and say, like, we either had a much higher consciousness, connection, intelligence. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you get something. Either we had much more knowledge than we have now back then, or the aliens helped us out. I don't know. There's really no other explanation because it's crazy. And I'm no expert. I've been to Egypt once. Don't quote me on any of this, but that's, if you want to know my opinion, not that you were asking, but that's my opinion. Okay. So we mosey out of there. It's still dark outside. We head over to the Sphinx, who's like, next door neighbor to the old Great Pyramid. We meditate between his little paws. Now the sun is starting to rise. So we're watching the sunrise in the background of the Great Pyramids and the Sphinx. I'm feeling some energy coming at me, not from the Sphinx, right? You plan on like, oh, the Sphinx is going to emit so much energy. And maybe it did for some people. For me, I felt it across the way. I took a whole little journey. I walked all the way around that Sphinx. And I kept feeling pulled to this area across the way. And this area was being excavated, but like it was a nothing pie. There was nothing to see. They didn't even let you go in there. So we end up asking someone, and come to find out that area they're excavating is actually where they did the ceremonial things and then walked it over to the altar that's between the Sphinx paws. So that made sense. And that was validating for me. Like, I felt the energy from an area that felt unexpected to me. And like, Jen, why aren't you feeling it from this? You're by the frickin' Sphinx. All right. So that was validating for me that there sometimes is more of a connection in other areas if you stay open to it. Okay. So we also went to a lot of amazing temples. We focused on a lot of places that had a really strong feminine energy. And some of them were really great for fertility. Like we went to the birthing temples at Dendera, and they're dedicated to like fertility, divine birth, renewal. It's one of the only places that actually depicts a woman giving birth and the tools they used in all of this in hieroglyphics, like on the walls. Because that's not just everywhere, but it was in these places. And we had 2 or 3 women in our group who were struggling with fertility, and this was a big goal for them, right? They really wanted to focus on their fertility. So side note, everywhere you go, especially as a group of women, we were required to have like Egyptian guards with us that had a sidearm. They had weapons. Okay. So they had to be on the bus with us. They had to go everywhere with us. So on top of that, every single temple and every single pyramids everywhere you go, guards everywhere. Okay. Which I get. They're protecting their sacred spaces. I get it. But I think they really think that us little American women are a bunch of witches because they watch us really close, and you're not allowed to even close your eyes in prayer or meditation. They get real weird about it, let alone like, don't even think about taking a crystal and setting it out somewhere. So they didn't love the crystal thing. So I'll speak for myself. I know a lot of people did, but I'll just speak for myself. Jen's bra was packed, okay? Packed with crystals, my organite, because I wanted to charge them. I'm not going to the frickin' Egypt, the Great Pyramid, and not charging my quartz crystals. Come on. So anyway, a lot of things got finagled in the bra because they're not patting you down, right? They can't even like touch women. Okay. So we have these guys with us everywhere. So we're in this fertility place, and sometimes we had to run interference for each other. So here's what we would do. We had a particular friend who was in a very special place in this fertility temple. And all she wanted to do was place her hand on these very beautiful carvings, close her eyes, and go into prayer meditation, right? Well, we knew that those guys weren't going to allow that. So we see a guy coming. She's doing her thing over there. So we got to run interference. So we, and listen, they're like, these guys are, they're waiting for their ego to be stroked. I'll just say it. You guys know me. I'm just going to tell you like it is. So all you really had to do is be like, hi, could you take our picture over here? Hi, what does that mean? Just point at anything on the wall. What does that mean? And let them go to town, right? They're smiling there anyway. And then the minute that our friend is done with their little fertility prayer ritual, okay, bye, buddy. Like, we were done. So we did a little bit of that because they did get a little bit weird about, I mean, even just closing your eyes and maybe facing your hands towards that particular structure. I don't know. They got a little weird. So anyway, but a lot of really cool fertility places that these women were able to activate. And I'm just hoping and praying that it all worked. And I can't wait to see these women's pregnancy announcements. Anyway, so we did that. And then we did get to see Sekhmet. I don't know if you don't know about Sekhmet, go down that rabbit hole. It's a fun one. But she's an Egyptian goddess of fierce power and healing. She embodied both destruction and protection. Her statue is not open to the general public, but we were allowed to see her. So we got to go back and we got to sit with her. And some, not me, but some people in our group were just sitting in tears. The energy they felt really hit home for them. I didn't feel that as much as they did, but it was a very cool experience for me also. So we got to see Sekhmet. And then we got to go to another temple that was dedicated to Hathor. And so she is another ancient Egyptian goddess. She's like the goddess of the sky, women, fertility, love, blah, blah, blah. So we're in there. So to get up to this spot, and they don't really even allow you to go there either, but some Dude was like, you guys want to go up there? And we're like, duh, yeah. So it was this ladder. You had to climb up this ladder and go through this little hole in the wall. And then you would go back and there was this statue and stuff. So this was another beautiful, beautiful moment I had with one of my little sister friends. So I climb up the stairs through the hole. I look down. She's already in there. I walk that way. I see her standing, shaking. Like there's this statue and she's kind of, I think she had one hand on it maybe. Anyway, she's shaking and completely overcome with something. And so I just stand there and hold space for her. Now I could feel immense vibration and energy not coming off the statue. Again, I did not connect with the Hathor statue. Okay, I'm not going to lie and sit here and say like I had this experience. I didn't. Here's the experience I had. I felt her vibration, my friend. And when I say it brought me to my knees, no lie, because I was holding space for her. I literally like kind of held, just instinctively, I did no plan here. I was kind of holding my hands up towards her and just holding space with her, right? And all of a sudden, the energy coming off of her is so powerful. I've got to drop to my knees. Never have I had to do this in my life. I have to drop to my knees because I don't want to hit the deck. I don't want to faint. Okay, I don't want to ruin this moment. So, and I just held the energy and the space for her. And she had this, again, not my story to tell, but had this really amazing moment up in there in the energy of this temple. And me feeling the energy coming off her was an amazing experience. Okay, I loved it. So another really cool moment with one of my sisters in there. Then we go into the temple of Nefertari. I think it's called Abu Simbel, something like that. Anyway, we're in there. And it's this massive rock cut temple built by, I think, Ramses II. It's known for its inner sanctuary. And 2 times a year, the sun perfectly comes in and lights this inner sanctuary. Okay, so everyone's flocking and in line to be near this inner sanctuary. On the right and the left, there are 2 other chambers. They're just empty stone chambers. Not even sure what they're used for. I think some people said they're integrative spaces, maybe energetic protection type chambers. If it's balance of masculine, feminine, I don't know, lunar, solar. So anyway, I walk up and one of my other friends is standing there and I stand next to her and we're looking at the ceiling of this empty chamber. There's nothing in it. Okay, but just stone walls and a ceiling. And we're looking up and she says, "Do you see it?" And I'm like, "If you mean that the ceiling is moving like waves in an ocean, yeah." And we didn't even know what to say. We're both just looking up and I'm like, "Oh, she sees it too." Because for the record, it was just stone, chunky stone carved. Nothing special about it, but swear to God, it was moving like the ocean. So we head to the other side. I'm like, okay, now we got to go check out the right chamber. This was the left. I'll go check out the other one. We go check it out. We stand there. Again, the ceiling for us is moving all over the place. We had no words for it, you guys. I don't even know if we have words for it to this day, right? We need to sit down and talk about this. And again, you try and close your eyes, you try and meditate on it. You got the Egyptian mafia ready to take you out. So got to run an interference there a little bit too, but we had a moment and it was so very cool. So another little bonding. Guys, I was just a lot of chick bonding going on this entire trip. I really loved it. I'll tell you about one more cool moment here. All right. You guys don't have to listen to me talk all day about my trip, but let me give you another cool one. So we happened to be there during the total lunar eclipse, the blood moon. Remember in September when we had that blood moon? So where were we during the blood moon? Let me tell you where we were. We were on a boat on the Nile River. And I don't mean a big cruise ship boat or anything. I mean like an old school wooden boat that had like 4 posts and a wooden ceiling on it. Okay. We crawl up the ladder. We all sit on the roof as a group during the total lunar eclipse, the blood moon. I mean, who can say that they saw the blood moon on the Nile River on the top of a boat with a bunch of their spiritual best friend sisters? Jen can say that now. So just so many cool things, you guys. And again, I got more stories. Anybody who knows me knows I can tell stories for a really long time, but I'm not going to make you listen through it because some of the experiences need to be talked about with the other person who experienced it, or someone who has way more knowledge than I do to tell you guys everything going on. All right. So it's coming. I promise there are episodes, but I just wanted to get that out of the way and tell you a little bit about my Egypt trip. Overall, best trip ever. Am I going to sit here and tell you there was nothing negative? There were some negative things. And I don't want to focus on it. I don't want to get too deep into it. But just briefly, I'm just going to tell you this. A, they're not big fans of the basic white American girl that is Jen. Okay? I rolled in there with my pale little white skin, my blonde little ponytail, and being an American. Not their favorite. No one's favorite. I'll just say that. Number 2, the amount of toxic masculinity can be overwhelming. I had some experiences with that, but I reframed them, and I now feel very empowered and grateful. Okay? I'll maybe talk more about that in a different episode. There was an incident with that too, but it ended up turning into a beautiful moment. And then another thing I learned was that not all people claiming to be spiritual, you know what I mean? Like the namaste, love and light, blah, blah, blah people are truly aligned and worthy of your energy. Okay. There was some spiritual bypassing going on with some people. And I want you to know that I did figure out that dark energy does exist, and I witnessed it firsthand, and I'll leave it at that for now. But that's one of those experiences that I'm still integrating and figuring out what all lessons needed to be learned from some of those things. So not going to go into that all today, but my whole point of telling you there were some negative things is even in the negative moments, I brought back lessons from those, and I was able to reframe them into a positive. So we'll get more into it, but for now, I'm going to leave it at that. So I wanted to tell you briefly about, in a little nutshell, all about Egypt, because that is part of what spurred me into this little hiatus, this little hibernation mode that I've been in. So I have more, and I have guests, like I said, coming to share their stories and help us integrate all this too. But I also want you to know you do not have to travel halfway around the world to experience spiritual growth like this. It could just be a new class, a new meditation class, or breathwork, or a different type of yoga. It could be a retreat 1 hour from your hometown where you connect with your own set of sisters, because you can find your people everywhere, right? And when you come together with a group of like-minded people, I find it especially like-minded women with a strong, feminine, powerful spiritual energy, life-changing, amazing. You should do it. So if you get an opportunity in 2026 to bond with a new group of people, do it. Do it. I did not know any of the women on this trip, and I left with friends all over the world, right? And a connection that honestly I made in 14 days with some of these women that I do not have with women I have known for the last 10 years. So be open to new experiences and new people, because they will be brought into your life. And if your intuition leads you to them, go with it. Go with it, you guys. They're brought into your path for a reason. And so stay open to that opportunity. Let's give it a chance and let's get in there. Let's make some new friends. So on that note, I would like to give a final shout out to my new sister friends from Egypt. You have changed me, and I am forever grateful. Whether our paths ever cross again, and I think they will, but I will carry you in my heart in this lifetime and the next. I just know it. So shout out to my girls, and shout out to you guys, to my friends. Okay? I've been talking a lot about myself. How you guys doing out there? I would love for you guys to send me a message, a comment, whatever. I would love to know I'm not alone in this weird little winter struggle that I've been going through. And I would love to see how you guys are doing. How you doing? How you doing, friend? Okay. So let me know and stay tuned, because season 2 is going to be amazing. We're continuing in this midlife spiritual journey together, because like I said, we're going to finish this life strong. You and I, we're in this together. So listen, I'll see you next week. Listen, I know your time is valuable. And right now I'm feeling super grateful and totally humbled that you chose to hang out with me today. If this podcast resonates with you, could you do me a solid and hit that subscribe or follow button? That's going to help you out, because you're never going to miss an episode. And it helps me out because you're never going to miss an episode. And if you have like 30 seconds more, could you leave a 5-star rating and maybe leave a kick-ass review? Thank you so much, and I can't wait to continue our journey on the next episode. Oh, and I can't forget the fine print. You know, the legal jargon. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. We're just two friends on this journey together, and this podcast is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician, professional coach, psychotherapist, or any other qualified professional. You get it. See you next time.